So one of the kings of cinema himself, Martin Scorsese, is out with the new movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, debuting in theaters today, guys, and I'm here to talk about it. Listen, I just want to start this video off by saying this is not a bad film. I just got a couple of problems, but I've loved Scorsese's filmography all the way since I first watched Goodfellas when I was younger, but I love so many of his movies: Goodfellas, Gangs of New York, The Departed, Shutter Island, Wolf of Wall Street, After Hours, Taxi Driver. There are a lot of great movies that this man has directed, and he has really solidified himself as a staple director in cinema history. But let's talk about Killers of the Flower Moon, because one of the problems I do have is the runtime, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I just want to start out by saying Killers of the Flower Moon is actually a really good movie. I enjoy the cinematic filmmaking. I really enjoy the experience. I think the cast is incredible. Leonardo DiCaprio does a good job as Ernest Burkhart. Although I don't think it's his best role yet, I do think it was a fantastic role. Then we have Robert De Niro as William King Hale, who did a fantastic job. I mean, De Niro always does a great job, always has presence. But let's talk about the standout here, Lily Gladstone. She was a knockout as Molly Burkhart, the victim of who all these crimes are happening to. It's so unfortunate to see her continue to break down throughout the movie as tragedy after tragedy happens in her family. It's just so sad to see. And then you get another big player in this with Jesse Plemons, John Lithgow. Heck, some people will say he's a little outlandish, but I loved Brendan Fraser's performance. He does pop up a little late in the movie, but I still really enjoyed that character. So there's a knockout cast. There's some great cinematography. They go hand in hand with the editing to keep you reeled in for that 3 hours. Even though the 3.5 hour runtime you can feel at certain points, it is edited very, very well to the point where I don't even know what to cut out in order to cut this movie down a little bit. But I think that it's edited well, it's shot well, the acting is good, the score is good. There's this thematic melody of this bass line and this drum beat that happened throughout the movie that really gets you feeling in a Native American tribal setting. So I really like the setting, I like the production design, I like the outfits, the costumes, the hair and makeup. I have so many compliments about this movie because it is very well made. You can tell Scorsese put his hand in this thing. But unfortunately, there's a very big problem with the movie that I'm having. There's actually a few, but I want to talk about the biggest one I'm having, and that's the lack of Molly Burkhart's perspective in the movie. Now, I know that the movie is called Killers of the Flower Moon, so that right there gives you an illusion of what you're going to get in this movie. You're going to get the killer's perspective, not the people who are in the flower moon, but the actual killers. So I understand, and I know that this is based on a true story. It's based on a book. Unfortunately, I think we miss out a little bit on the movie by really sidelining Molly Burkhart. Lily Gladstone was just announced as running for lead actress, and I'll be honest, after watching the film, it feels very much like a supporting actress role in my opinion. They didn't give her enough screen time, and there's about the middle third to about, honestly, maybe even the last third of the movie where there's just this big period that Molly is not really involved. And I wish that they would have involved this character a lot more. I think that involving Molly Burkhart's perspective allows you to see just how bad these atrocities were. And let me get to my other big problem. Unfortunately, Leonardo DiCaprio's Ernest Burkhart, there is a lot of sympathy toward that character, and I don't think that was the right route to go for a movie like this. You know, these are atrocities. They were stealing riches from the Osage Nation, and I think that we could have seen a little bit more of that perspective, and to make Ernest Burkhart this lovable oaf type character where he was just taking commands from his uncle, and his uncle's the real big bad white man, just doesn't quite work for me. And in the context of this movie, make him bad. Leo's character, Ernest Burkhart, is just as much part of this as William Hale. Make him a bad person. Make him even worse. Give us even more to just dislike this guy about, because we get in these scenes in the movie where it almost feels like, oh, well, my uncle is forcing me to do this. I'm not this guy and I'm not this, but we don't see him make more positive choices. We see him break down. We see these emotional scenes, and it's hard for me to sympathize with him as he's continuing to commit these crimes behind the scene that they depict. So I think the big core problems in this movie is you're lacking Molly Burkhart's perspective, and you're also giving Ernest Burkhart too much sympathy. Like I said, he's committing so many atrocities, stealing, killing, plotting with William Hale, and I think that them making him this sort of kind of goofy, like oafish character tries to make him a little bit lovable. And I just didn't like that perspective, but there are so many things to like, you guys. I just think these two glaring problems, unfortunately, are what made this movie good, but not quite great for me. And you'll have to let me know down in the comments, guys, what you think about the movie. Did it play up to Ernest Burkhart's perspective a little too hard to where it gave him some, or tried to give him some sympathy? And then, unfortunately, the ending, I did not like the ending. I understand what it was trying to say about history and the way we retell it, and these tragic pieces in history that we try to replay for entertainment value. I understand where they were going with the radio show. However, I didn't like it. I didn't like the decision to make it into this hokey radio show at the end. Just conclude the movie. I thought it was a very weird scene to plug into a movie where we didn't have anything near that throughout the entire experience. So to end it that way was just jarring in a not so good way. I'm curious though, what do you guys think? I just had a couple of issues with the perspectives. I know, this is called Killers of the Flower Moon, I get it, but I wanted more Molly Burkhart. I wanted less Ernest, less giving sympathy to him, and I wanted that ending to just end the movie. But other than that, I will say it feels 3 hours, it feels 3.5, it definitely drags on, but it's edited and shot so well and acted so well with a good score that you actually feel like maybe there's nothing that can be cut out. Even though it does feel long, it's hard to target what could actually be cut out. But you guys gotta let me know down in the comments how you feel about Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm seeing it go around in people's top movies of the year list, and hey, I don't disagree with you. I don't blame you for putting there. I wouldn't not recommend this to someone. I just think there's some lacking of perspectives, and it also makes you think, Scorsese, was he really the one for this movie? I love Marty, I love his films, but was he the guy? Was he the one that should have been telling this story? You think maybe pull an Osage storyteller or an Osage director to actually direct a movie that is from Molly Burkhart's perspective, or at least incorporates her perspective more, because then it would be more authentic to the actual Osage tribe. But guys, let me know down in the comments, are you excited for the movie? And if you've seen it, how do you feel? Do you agree with me? Do you think there needed to be some more Molly Burkhart in the movie? Do you think it played up to the sympathy of Ernest Burkhart too much? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below for movie reviews, TV reviews, and so much more on the channel, guys. We'll see you next time on Geekly Goods.